モンカンパニーの不正はこいつらの流したデマだ。
Alright, hello everybody, and welcome to a new type of video that is actually inspired off of Thunder God's original idea on YouTube, where he used this kind of video format to do a Naruto and Sasuke version of this, but I wanted to make my own video in this template, mainly just as an excuse to put the homies Gaara or especially Gaara, but Lee in the center of a video. I mean, they've both been in the center of videos before, but I mean, like, that's besides the point. Which, this is gonna be, what if Gaara and RockLee swapped places in each character's respective fights in the series? Now, first of all, I'm discounting all of part 1, because, to be fair, in canon material, they don't really fight too much, and actually there's quite a bit of times where they're either fighting against each other or with each other. So yeah, and even in Shippuden there's a lot of confusion because there's a lot of just like moments that aren't really like separate fights. There's just like moments. So yeah, we'll just keep that in mind and give me a little bit of slack. So we are going to skip right to Shippuden, where we start off with RockLee versus Deidara, and it's a bit interesting, I suppose, because at this time we can only assume that Lee could go 5th gate, because, and remember, Deidara not only stays in the air but fought dirty against Gaara, which wouldn't happen unless they were like in the Leaf Village or something. But for the sake of this like exact like placement, I guess we're just gonna put Lee in the Sand Village versus Deidara. So I feel like Deidara would know better than to try hand-to-hand combat or stay on the ground with Lee. So he'd probably like be down on the ground for like a second and then get like his shit kicked in, and then he'd be like, oh fuck. So then he'd probably just stay in the air like always pretty much, and Lee would definitely again like land some blows with like, I don't know, maybe like Primary Lotus or something. But honestly, I don't see Lee coming out like completely victorious here. So now we're gonna have Gaara's turn, and this is gonna be Gaara versus that Lee clone that they had during the Kazekage rescue mission. And you know, this is quite easy for Gaara. I mean, like, come on now. The only reason those fights were really difficult is because they were like each other, so it was like they matched each other's skills. So, and we didn't even see them like really power up either. Like, it was just kind of like base Lee versus base Lee. So yeah, I don't think I need to explain myself when saying that Gaara can win this. So now, unfortunately, we don't see Gaara or Lee for a long ass time. Like, really, like a long ass time. It's because, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like Shippuden kind of catches a little bit of the Dragon Ball Super syndrome, where it kind of just, instead of like it being like the Goku and Vegeta show, it kind of just feels like the Team 7 and Sasuke show, I guess. Like I guess Sasuke technically is in Team 7 still, so yeah, really just like the Team 7 show, and like sometimes a few of the other characters get some spotlight, but that's not the point of this video. So next up, I'm putting Gaara and the other members of Team Guy versus Kisame, which I don't think Gaara's really gonna do much of like be much of a difference. I mean, like, we've seen Gaara's sand be damaged by different water and mist jutsus, so yeah, I don't feel like he's gonna like make some substantial change or anything. I feel like that he's just gonna be in the same position as Lee was here. So now we are gonna skip right over to the 5 Kage Summit, where it's gonna be Lee versus Sasuke, because if you remember that whole moment, so where Gaara kind of fought Sasuke, this is going to be Lee versus Sasuke, where this is going to be at the most 5th or 6th gate Lee versus Mangekyo Sharingan Sasuke, and I don't think Lee is winning this. I mean, Sasuke with Amaterasu and Susanoo and just the MS in general for that matter, I don't think there's much I see Lee being able to do here. So now, again, skipping over to the war, where I guess the first important fight in the war would be putting Gaara in the like mosh pit of the Edo Tensei Ninja Swordsman of the Mist. And honestly, there's not really anything they can do. So yeah, I say it's pretty easy for Gaara to, you know, kind of just stake out and not die, I guess. And again, Gaara can just seal any of them, because remember the pyramid that will actually come back later, but for now, let's forget it. Now, this becomes a bit of Lee replacing Gaara than vice versa, but Lee doesn't really do shit in Shippuden, to be honest. I feel like everybody kind of has that general consensus. So the only fight I'm including from the whole like Edo Kage segment is we're going to be putting Lee versus Edo Rasa. And again, I do think Lee has a good enough chance, I guess, but I still don't think he's going to win, because from what I can see, from the stated facts, just in general, Gaara is just kind of stronger than Lee. And Edo Rasa has infinite chakra and is invincible practically. Actually, not practically, he is invincible unless he's sealed. So the taijutsu really isn't going to do anything. And yeah, so unless Lee has some like sealers and he can go up to Rasa and like beat the shit out of him and then allow the sealers to, you know, seal him, that's the only way I can see Lee winning this fight. But I mean, if that's not under those circumstances, then yeah, Lee's not winning. Now for shits and giggles, I'm going to do a filler fight and add Gaara versus the QB. And honestly, Gaara is going to struggle, and it's kind of like a either way, because it's safe to assume that Gaara can use the sand pyramid and seal away the QB. So if Gaara can pull it off, then I could say Gaara can win. But if all else fails, I don't know if Gaara can win that fight. And oh no. So now I feel bad for Lee, because it's time for Lee and the other Kage versus Madara. Oh shit. And look, Lee can make it for a while, I guess, but as soon as Madara whips out those Susanos, it's wraps for him. I mean, you can't say I'm wrong about it either. That's the funny thing. Now, none of them, unfortunately, have any fights for the rest of Shippuden. That's it. Well, again, they have moments, but they don't have, like, actual fights. So it's kind of just, like, pointless talking. I mean, like, I could make this, like, an hour-long video if I wanted to, but I really don't want to. So, yeah, we're going to skip over the Boruto for, like, a quick little minute, and we're only going to talk about a few things. And first off, we're going to have Lee replace Gaara in the Momoshiki fight. And yes, he does have a power-up in Boruto, so now he can go up to the 7th gate. And yeah, he might be able to hold off and fuse Momoshiki for a tad. But I mean, like, it won't be long before Momoshiki can beat Gaara. And for the final segment, we're going to include Gaara replacing Lee in the Konoha, like, 11, I guess, versus Ishiki. And it will be absolutely no difference. Gaara will be one-shotted the same way Lee was. In this little moment, I guess this is a moment too, but I just wanted to include it just for like a, you know, like a funny little thing here. So yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed this new type of video, I guess. And yeah, I'll see y'all next week. Peace.